Greetings! It's been a bit of a while. I was helping Robin out with a few depression related issues, plus helping her move into a new flat. In work, I was involved in a project where a store that I help out at was having its till equipment changed over, and I might just possibly have started playing guitar. I say started. I mean, I mean, originally I played acoustic way back, when I was little, like about 11, 12 ish. I've had an acoustic guitar ever since that I've kind of used on and off over the years, played at church, that sort of thing. But, I never really got too much into it. I guess just because a lot of the music that I was into wasn't really acoustic style. And I don't know, it was just big and bulky, and also, heck, when you live in small flats, you don't always have the space for it. Um, when my parents lived in places with a bit more storage space, I'd often leave it round at theirs because I wasn't using it and I just didn't have the space for it. And then, about a couple of years ago, I got a starter bass guitar kit. I was having a bit of fun with that. Didn't play it a huge amount, but didn't need to. It was something I did for fun. I enjoyed occasionally jamming along with things and, vaguely trying to figure out what the bass lines were for things. And then I found myself sort of also just wanting to get more into guitar in general. So, I've spent a lot of the past several months, picking, bits of information up here and there. Um, Found that I like the look of one or two types of guitar. Did a bit of browsing on YouTube to find out, kind of what some of the pros and cons of some of the models were. Completely accidentally, realised that I was watching a channel that was coming from my local local music kind of store, musician's store, Anderton's in Guildford. It's like, oh, okay. I didn't know that I was watching stuff from there because I've got one or two things from there in the past, um, like the audio recorder that I use for this. So, yeah, I was kind of looking around and pricing things up and eventually settled on having a bit of a small budget. The Epiphone Les Paul Special Vintage Edition in the vintage cherry, a very nice satin finish. Um, I'm actually glad that they were able to start stocking this particular model, just because when I was actually kind of seriously thinking, no, I really do want to pick up a guitar. Um, I tried one or two in the store, and I was trying. I think it was it was one of the SG Epiphone SG models, and it was about 200 odd quid. But again, it had a very sort of nice, this satin finish. It means it's sort of smooth, doesn't feel kind of sticky and glossy. And the problem is, a lot of the other kind of more affordable end stuff had glossy necks, and I didn't like the feel of them, and also I really sort of wanted to go for an Epiphone because basically when you're on a budget, obviously you're looking at the cheaper end of stuff. The main ones were going to be the Epiphone, which is basically a sort of a Gibson's affordable kind of sister company, or Squire, which is Fender's kind of budget range. the thing I didn't like about these Squires is that, well, all Fenders with the kind of the darker wood fingerboards, um, the side dots that they would have that kind of, you know, mirror the dots on the fretboard, they were black, but they were half on kind of the border between the fretboard and the main neck. And, well, my eyesight's not exactly great. I need lots of contrast. And I was actually finding that I couldn't exactly see them. And, you know, I might not be wanting to look around the front of the fingerboard, but certainly, and yes, I am at the moment, you know, as a beginner, more or less, I am having to stare down at where my fingers are, and being able to see the side dots is really useful. So I knew it had to be, or it pretty much had to be an Epiphone, and I knew it had to be one with a satin finish. And I knew that this model was available, it's just it was always out of stock. And then they had some in stock. So at one point, you know, I was kind of seriously giving it a bit of a go. So, you know, picked one of these up, and kind of ended up settling on actually getting one. Robin may have kind of helped with that by she saw that I was enjoying myself and chipped in a little bit of money towards it. And I kind of told her, please don't. She said, no, you know, I want to. And it's like, okay. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, so I picked up this, and at first, you know, because you know, even on a budget and even with a bit of help, I've got a limit of how much kind of fun stuff I can get in any one time. Not much at all. So at first, I was playing it, well, mainly through my computer with one of my other audio interfaces, mainly because I was well, one thing with GarageBand, I could actually kind of like, you know, it allows you to kind of emulate various speaker types and various pedal types. And the other thing is, I've started using a tool that I'll talk about in a moment, which basically works through the computer. So therefore, you know, a good way of doing that is, well, directly plugging in through an audio interface, and it would listen basically directly from the guitar, pretty much. And then the next payday scrolled around, and my next budget purchase happened. So, to go along with my nice little guitar, and the reason I went for this one is I actually tried them both out at the same time. I just knew I couldn't buy them both at the same time. Is I gone for the Orange Crush 12, which is a rather nice little amp. Orange is, I believe, one of the British amp companies, but also I just kind of, there were various ones, and at the budget end I was having a look around, and this was one that I was sort of interested in, and I'd heard good things about some of their higher end stuff. And when I was trying out the Les Paul Special VE, they had one of these in Andertons, so I took it into the you know, into one of the little kind of practice booths that they had, and it's like, I liked the sound. You know, it's small, it's practicey. It's like, yeah, but I don't gig. I play at home, and also I play at home and don't want to piss off the neighbours. So yeah, that is more than enough amp for me at the moment. And yeah, I like the sound. I like the way they go together. And you know, it's small, it's lightweight, it's portable. If I find myself playing some more, and if I end up with, you know, a bigger amp, this is still something that I would use, you know, kind of for practice or for carrying around. You know, if I wanted to, say, you know, practice whilst visiting my parents or something. Although, to be honest, well, actually, yeah, even then I'd still be likely to use the headphone output on it, because, well, if I want to visit my parents, I don't particularly want to keep them awake whilst practicing guitar, do I? You know, I want them to want me to visit. Don't want them to say, never again. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at the moment. Except, well, you know, when I was looking around at, you know, spending a lot of time on YouTube, you know, looking up guitar and equipment reviews, I kept on seeing ads for this thing called Musician. And, well, at first I had my usual reaction to adverts. I'm going to avoid that thing like the plague, because I've seen the adverts all the time when I'm trying to watch other stuff. To hell with advertising. But then I thought, well, you know what, I'll give it a bit of a go. Because, you know, you can... Yes, there's a paid subscription, and yes, I'm using that now. The monthly version, it's actually cheaper per month if you commit to a year, but I don't particularly want to commit to a year at the moment, so it's £20 a month, or maybe a bit less. But also it means that if I find it's too much, I can just kind of stop. Whereas if I went for the half price one, I would still be committed to like £10 a month, or a little bit less. I can't remember the exact pound price because it lists it in euros, but yeah. So, you know, I gave the kind of the free, you get a limited amount of time per day, and it keeps on kind of giving you adverts for the paid version like every 5 minutes or whatever. And it's like, actually, I kind of like it. Because it's almost like the next evolution of, you know, the games like, you know, Rock Band and Guitar Hero and stuff like that. So it actually kind of listens in to what you're playing. But it's used as a, you know, as a teaching tool. I mean, it's probably not a substitute for proper music lessons, but it can be used as part of lessons, and it's good if you just wanted to sort of pick things up on your own. You know, if you don't have the time or the money to pay for proper lessons, but you're not quite good enough to kind of pick things up just by reading. You know, the fact that it shows me what I'm learning, so it's like it gives me an example and then takes me through, you know, a practice run of something. That's kind of how I learn. So am I learning as much as if I was taking proper lessons? Most likely not, but I'm learning because I'm being shown examples and then playing through them, and you know, it still kind of shows me where I'm going right, where I'm going wrong, and you know, allows me to kind of go, no, I can't go that fast, and back up a little bit and retry earlier things and try to do better. And it's actually quite fun, because basically it's one of those, it basically makes it into a game, but it's also kind of actual music, and especially because some of the the songs that it has in its own library, it's like there's variations on the same tracks, because you know, there'll be the basic riff, the basic melody, and then, you know, kind of standard chords, power chords, more advanced versions of the melody if you get to higher levels. So, you know, you get to kind of, you know, as you progress through the, you know, if you start off at the lower levels and progress through the levels, even when it's like, okay, this actual kind of, you know, this riff or melody is really going to tax your skill, you know the song by that point. So it's like you've got an idea of where it's going. You just got to learn a new skill to deal with it. So no, it's actually quite fun. I'm really kind of enjoying it. And yeah, you know, if I have to kind of reduce my expenditure, and I will do at some point, kind of go, I need to save money per month, and I'm not doing this as much. The fact that you still like get kind of some short free lesson time per day, even if you're not paying, it kind of means I can kind of keep my hand in until I can afford it again. But it's like, at the moment, no, I'm really kind of enjoying it. And yeah, no, it's just fun, you know. And I suppose one of the other things is, as I said, you know, I've been playing music on and off since I was a kid. You know, I played recorder in primary school, and then when I was secondary school age, I started. No, in fact, even I think still late primary school age, I started on piano, and then I started playing clarinet, and then dropped off the piano, and then kind of once I sort of finished college, I went to university, I sort of just pretty much stopped playing at that point. But what it does mean is that I still have, and I've got a bit of grounding in music. I understand a fair bit of musical theory, so it means that I might not be taking full-on lessons, but kind of a lot of the concepts that it's referring to in musician, I've already learned through kind of recorder lessons, piano lessons, clarinet lessons, GCSE music, AS level practical music, I understand the theory, so this is helping me apply that theory to a new skill set. And I already knew a fair few chords because I've played in church worship bands back when I used to go to church, and the stuff I played was never high end. But again, I knew a few chords. I knew my way around the fretboard more or less. And the fact that I've been sort of gently pootling around on the bass for a couple of years means I'm kind of also now used to kind of picking notes a little bit, and looking into kind of following stuff on tab, and now through musician I'm kind of stepping up to playing guitar and mixing up chords and fretwork and stuff like that, and now I'm actually having fun. But also that is another reason why I've not been as much in the recording thing for a while, because as soon as my life got a little bit less busy, a lot of my spare time where I wasn't basically sleeping or doing housework, or visiting people, I've been kind of playing guitar for the past month and kind of enjoying it. So yeah, it's been fun, and it's great to have a hobby, especially one that I can actually kind of feel some actual progress in. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of me that thinks that maybe this video should be called Uncle Andy's Midlife Crisis, but I've been, well, I've been playing music on and off since I was a kid. I've been playing guitar on and off a lot, but still on and off since I was a kid. It's not like I've suddenly kind of gone, you know what, I'm going to try to do this thing that I've never had any interest in before. It's like, no, you know what, I'm going to try this thing that I have had interest in before, but, never really thought of. But, again, because I've been getting more and more into, well, audio and video and kind of technology and stuff like that, I just figured, I've moved on to this, and I just figured it's time to kind of, pick back up with guitar. So, yeah. I have a completely budget rig, but I'm having fun. And that'll do for me. So, with that, until next time, see ya.